Fan Zhao had just taken a sip of his red wine when the glass wobbled in his hand. Before he could steady it, Yu Shulang's hand shot out, catching it with a calm precision that made Fan Zhao freeze for a moment. "Careful," Yu Shulang said quietly, his eyes sharp and steady as he adjusted the glass back into place. Fan Zhao blinked, half annoyed, half impressed. How could something as simple as holding a glass of wine feel so intense? The air between them suddenly felt heavier, like every small movement carried meaning. And Fan Zhao realized he had to focus just to keep from spilling the wine. Fan Zhao's heart beat a little faster, not from fear, but from the sheer intensity of Yu Shulang's attention. Every small movement he made was deliberate, careful, and somehow commanding. It was amusing in a way, how even a simple moment with a glass of wine could feel like a test of skill and composure. Fan Zhao tried to hand the glass back, but Yu Shulang shook his head ever so slightly. Not aggressively, but with a firmness that left no room for argument. The atmosphere became tense, not tense in a dangerous way, but tense in a way that made every gesture feel important. The room felt smaller, the lights warmer, the hum of the air conditioner louder, as if the world had shrunk around them. Fan Zhao swallowed nervously, trying to act calm, but every careful glance from Yu Shulang made him feel exposed. Not in a physical way, but emotionally. He realized, with a mixture of frustration and amusement, that a simple glass of wine had somehow become a stage for silent competition. Who would stay composed? Who would flinch first? Who would laugh at the absurdity of the situation? The first sip Fan Zhao took was careful, precise. He tilted the glass, trying to match Yu Shulang's steady movements, but the tartness of the wine caught him off guard. His mouth puckered slightly, and he coughed softly, fumbling for balance. Yu Shulang's gaze flicked down, not judgmental, but observant, noting the small tremor in Fan Zhao's hand. It wasn't the first time he had noticed how meticulous Fan Zhao could be, and yet how occasionally, in moments of tension, he lost his perfect composure. A small, almost imperceptible smile played at the corner of Yu Shulang's lips, enough to make Fan Zhao wonder whether he should feel annoyed or amused. He chose both, inwardly rolling his eyes while trying to steady his breath. Despite the minor chaos, Fan Zhao decided to rise to the challenge. He straightened his posture, held the glass with a steady hand, and took another careful sip. Yu Shulang's eyes followed every movement, calm but intense, as if silently judging the precision of each tilt of the glass. Fan Zhao found himself focusing on the mechanics, how the liquid flowed, how the glass balanced, the gentle clink as it met his lips. It was ridiculous, he thought, yet strangely engaging. He realized that even in a simple, everyday task, the smallest gestures could feel like a contest between two strong personalities. Every sip, every glance, every small motion was amplified, turning the quiet hotel room into a stage for subtle gamesmanship. At one point, Fan Zhao laughed softly, shaking his head at the absurdity. "I swear, this is harder than any performance I've ever done," he said, voice slightly breathless from concentrating on not spilling. Yu Shulang's gaze softened, just a fraction, and he let out a quiet chuckle, acknowledging the humor without breaking his own composure. The room, which had felt suffocating moments before, seemed to open slightly. Laughter was a rare thing between them, and even small moments of levity carried more weight than either would admit. Fan Zhao's shoulders relaxed slightly, though he kept his focus, knowing that Yu Shulang's steady eyes never left him. The wine glass wobbled again, this time from Fan Zhao's own nervous anticipation. He was trying to measure exactly how much to tilt it, how fast to drink, and how to keep from spilling, and the concentration was almost comical in its intensity. Yu Shulang, ever calm, adjusted his position slightly to offer silent guidance, his hand near enough to intervene if needed but never actually touching the glass. It was a delicate dance, one that balanced trust, patience, and careful observation. Fan Zhao realized he was learning as much about Yu Shulang in this single moment as he had in all the months of working together. The precision, the attentiveness, the unspoken rules of behavior, it was a lesson in subtle control, and he couldn't help but admire it. By the time the wine was nearly gone, Fan Zhao had settled into a rhythm. He could tilt the glass just right, sip steadily, and maintain his balance even under You Shulang's piercing watchful gaze. The minor chaos of the first attempts had given way to a quiet cooperation, a shared understanding without a single word about the tension that had preceded it. And yet, despite the calm, the air was charged. Not with anything inappropriate, but with awareness, with observation, with the silent recognition that each man had noticed the other's strengths and flaws. Every movement, every glance carried significance, and neither wanted to break the flow. After the final sip, Fan Zhao set the glass down carefully, breathing a sigh of relief. He felt lighter, as if a small weight had lifted off his shoulders, but he also noticed the intensity in You Shulang's expression. The steady gaze had not wavered for even a moment, and Fan Zhao realized just how much subtle observation You Shulang was capable of. It was both exhilarating and exhausting, a combination of admiration and mild exasperation. He laughed quietly, shaking his head. You know, this was supposed to be simple. Just wine. But somehow it feels like I've been through a performance review. You Shulang's lips twitched again, a faint smile that acknowledged the joke while keeping his composure perfectly intact. The moment became almost ceremonious. They cleaned up the glasses together, each movement precise, each action deliberate. It was a strange mix of order and shared chaos, like a choreographed dance that neither had practiced but both executed flawlessly. Fan Zhao couldn't help but notice how small gestures, handing a napkin, adjusting the placement of a glass, could carry meaning in their silent interactions. It wasn't romantic or flirtatious, it was recognition. It was mutual respect. And in a room where both men were accustomed to performance, appearances, and control, these quiet, subtle exchanges felt surprisingly profound. Finally, as the last of the wine was cleared away, You Shulang stepped back, lowering his gaze slightly. "When did your hand heal?" he asked calmly, breaking the quiet with a simple, practical question. Fan Zhao blinked, caught off guard, then let out a helpless laugh. "So that's what you've been angry about," he replied, amusement and relief blending together in his voice. The tension, which had been high for much of the evening, dissolved in that single exchange. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't explosive. It was simply acknowledgement, understanding, and a shared appreciation for patience, timing, and subtle human interaction. By the end of the night, the atmosphere had shifted completely. The hotel room was quiet once more, but the air carried a new kind of energy, not one of conflict, but of mutual understanding. The challenge of the wine glass, the careful attention to detail, and the quiet cooperation had transformed a seemingly mundane activity into an exercise in trust, observation, and personal growth. Fan Zhao left the room feeling lighter, more aware of the subtleties of their dynamic, and more respectful of You Shulang's methodical nature. And You Shulang, in turn, allowed himself a small moment of satisfaction, knowing that he had guided, observed, and challenged his companion in a way that was meaningful, safe, and entirely appropriate.